let's talk about what it takes to get a home sold. And if you're thinking about selling your home, you might be considering, should I for sale by owner? There's a lot of pros and the cons, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So you're thinking about selling your home, and you're probably thinking, you know, an agent's commission to sell my home kind of seems like a lot of money. So is it worth paying? What are the pros and the cons? Obviously, I'm an agent and I sell homes for a living because I believe that's the best route to go, but I want to give you the best advice that you can for your situation. I'll even go so far as to say you might be able to sell your home and everything will work out fine, okay? So I don't want to mislead you in any sense in that way. But here's a few things that you should consider. First of all, your main priority is going to be to get top dollar for that home. That means that just as your agent would, you need to be ready to stage that home, take professional pictures, do marketing to the nth degree like an agent would. Personally, I pay for a staging consultant to come out and help my sellers get their house looking the best so that the perceived value of that home goes up. I also pay for professional pictures and different things so that we can make sure that home looks perfect online when people are shopping for homes. So if you're going to for sale by owner, you need to realize that those are still going to be expenses that you'll have to take on if you do it yourself versus having your agent do it for you on your behalf. So that's the first thing. The second one is this. Ultimately, the expenses along the way aren't nearly as important to you as your actual net dollar that you would walk away with after everything's all said and done. So I'd like to explain how commissions are typically handled in most scenarios in Minnesota. So typically, the realtor's agent will charge a commission to the seller. That seller will pay the commission at closing, and then approximately half of that will go to pay for the buyer's agent. This is how it's always done in the vast majority of cases, I should say, when there's a realtor on either side of the transaction. Okay, and again, I think that's about 92% or so of closed transactions. That's how it works out. So the commission you're paying is effectively almost half going to the buyer's agent. Now think of it from the eyes of the buyer. If you're selling for sale by owner and you're not paying any commission, that means that buyer is going to have to come up with all the additional cash in order to close on your property. You can see how this would pose a problem because they're already having to come up with a bunch of cash for their closing costs and down payment. And then now, in order to buy your property, they have to come up with a bunch of extra cash because you wouldn't hire an agent, which is your choice. But you should know that that buyer is then either going to expect you to pay for that commission after all for their agent, or they're going to reduce that price that they're willing to pay for your home by at least the same amount. So effectively, you wouldn't net any higher because you'll still have to pay in one form or another that buyer's agent commission in most scenarios. So that's the first half of it. Then what about the second half of it? The second half is a commission that goes to your seller's broker, okay, your seller's agent's company, and that goes to market your home. So again, you'll need to pay for staging and pictures and so on and so forth. However, you might not realize that the average home sold for sale by owner actually sells for a considerable amount less. There's some debate, and so I don't want to give you hard stats and mislead you on that, but it's pretty much agreed that if you have less demand, if you market that home less, then you're not going to get as high of a sales price. So you may save some money on your commission, but if you're going to lose considerably more paying the buyer's agent commission and at a lower sales price, it actually is very likely not to net you any higher like you were hoping. Finally, I want to remind you about this. If you don't have a licensed professional working on your behalf, it's kind of going to feel like going to court and you don't have an attorney and the other guy does. Now, I'm not an attorney and I'm not trying to suggest that, but you can see how if the other guy has a lawyer working against you, he's going to be able to negotiate a lot harder and get better terms for his client that he's working for solely, and you're going to be on your own to defend yourself. Okay? It's similar in real estate with our negotiations. You need to understand all the legal implications of all of the documents that you sign. Typical purchase agreements, about 20 to 30 pages worth of documents that you'll have to sign. Their agent can furnish them for you. However, again, that agent's going to be working solely for the buyer in most scenarios, and so you need to have legal representation on your side of the transaction to make sure that you're getting taken care of. The other thing a lot of sellers don't realize that winds them in a bind is they have to comply with the same state laws of disclosure and equal housing and so on and so forth, but they're not familiar with the laws. So somebody that tries to for sale by owner all of a sudden finds himself in a bind 6 months after closing because they failed to disclose something, and it can come back to bite him later. The reality is real estate related lawsuits are considerably more so on for sale by owner transactions than when there's an agent on both sides. So even, let's say, best case scenario, you spend the money, you market your home, you pay the buyer's commission, you get a fantastic sales price that's actually supporting your transaction. And let's say you close and you do net higher. Well, what if just one lawsuit came from that buyer that came to bite you later on down the road? It wouldn't take much at all, as you can imagine, to offset all that profit that you just made and then wind yourself up considerably in the other direction. So you just need to realize that you're taking on a huge risk. If you're actually able to net higher, it could end up much, much worse in the long run. So those are just a few things to take into consideration. If you'd like to have more advice specific to your situation, I'd love to come chat with you about it. I love working with people that are considering for sale by owner because you're my kind of people and you want to do it yourself hard charging. But I also love to educate folks so that they make sure they're making a wise decision in the long run. So to get in touch about that or to find more videos for buying and selling process, just like this one, just visit jcarmack.com. Thanks so much.